I'm sure that the ideas and strategies I'm going to show you in the Italian opening, you have never seen them before, and probably your opponent as well. One of them is kind of novelty. We will talk in the next part of this episode or of this lecture. So let's first discuss every single piece, how it works and how it functions in the Italian opening, in order to have a kind of complete understanding before we start. So after bishop c4, this is what's so-called the Italian opening, one of the most played opening in chess. And let's discuss piece by piece, pawn by pawn. a2 pawn is out of the job for now, and probably in the ending might play a role. b2 pawn as well, f2 pawn as well. These three pawns, usually, they don't participate in our battle. So, about the rest of the pieces, the rook as well in the end game maybe. So these four pieces are not probably working right now in the first maybe 20 moves or something. This bishop and this knight are the most important pieces. Again, this bishop cannot be exchanged. You need to keep it. Probably the way to do that is c3, bishop b3, bishop c2, even with that bishop. Never exchange the light squared bishop. Again, this is very important rule. c3 pawn will support the center and will make escape, a channel for the bishop to go back to c2 in case it's needed. d3 pawn is very important not to go c3 d4. No, we never go c3 d4. c3 d4 requires lots of knowledge, lots of memorizations. We don't want to memorize anything. We just need to understand. So d2 pawn is just to support the e4 square, the e4 spot. Queen normally will go either to e2 in order to solidify the position, to make the position stable. After the position is stable, then we go queen to f3 in order to attack. But there's a knight here. We will talk. The knight on b1, why we mentioned that this is one of the most important pieces. This is actually the joker, you know, the number 10. You go knight d2. This is the attacking piece. Knight d2, knight f1, knight g3, heading for f5. This knight is controlling or heading for f5. Okay, almost we talked about everything. This bishop, sometimes bishop g5, sometimes no. Depends on the position. But there's very important idea for the g2 pawn. g2 pawn sometimes will participate to g4, sometimes not. We will discuss when and when to do that and when not. H pawn is to go to h3. Why? To support this g4 idea and to gain time in the opening and give the pole for your opponent. Okay, enough talking. We understand nothing. Now things will be very clear when we are talking, when we are showing you the lines. So after bishop c4, two main ideas probably will happen in more than 90 games of your opening of your Italian. Bishop c5 or bishop b7. Okay, usually the knight will go, not usually, always the knight will go to f6. So f knight f6, we go d3. And now we come back. Either bishop c5 or bishop e7. We will start with bishop c5. And this is the most played move, probably doubled bishop e7. The point is that this is the most active move, bishop c5, in order to activate the bishop. Now you will find many stuff about castling short, and then many details you need to know and many details you need to avoid. No, we don't castle, and this is very, very practical. Actually, psychologically, it's very effective. So we go c3 first, in order to control these two squares, and in order to start our journey towards the attack. Now, very important idea we will discuss when we discuss bishop e7, which is d5. This is a very important move, but we will come back to it later. This is why, or this is how I found my novelty. Let's go back. We go c3. After c3, say d6, and now c. We mentioned a rule. Never exchange your light squared bishop. Now bishop e6 is to be coming. So we go bishop b3. Whenever bishop e6 came, we go bishop c2. This is very, very, very important. a6, now we go h3. Our idea is knight d2, knight f1, either g4, knight g3, or knight g3 right away. Our opponent say, okay, fine, I have this bishop a7 waiting move, and then castling, or then knight bd2. Then black said, okay, fine, I will castle. I will castle here and we'll see how to do. Or castling, and we come back to normal position. But here we do not castle. We go knight f1. After knight f1, our strategy is simple. Knight g3, knight h4, knight f5, and attack. Queen e2, maybe bishop g5, etc., etc. So after knight f1, now d5 is an option. Another option is g6, because bishop g5 is sometimes annoying, because see, now after castling, we don't have bishop g5. Knight f1, as we mentioned in the beginning of the video, now bishop g5 is a real threat. Because after bishop g5, we go knight g3, knight h5, attacking the f6 square, or the f6 knight. That's why h6 sometimes played, but now, if h6, we go g4. This is very important. This is the first case, we go g4. g4, in order to support the knight on f5 first. Second, at proper moment, we use it as the hook, h6 as the hook to go g5. Open the g file, because we delayed castling. So after knight f1, either h6 or attack on the center with d5. Now, very important idea. Always connect these two together. After d5, we go queen e2. Why? Because we do want to attack. If we do want to attack, then we need to keep queens on the board. So knight g3 now is not recommended. Takes, and we are not Magnus Carlsen to play this ending and fight it to win. Maybe to draw, it's fine. But to win, it's impossible. That's why back and back, here in this position, we go after d5, queen e2. Why? To avoid exchanging the queens, which means I will keep my chances to attack alive. So after queen e2, black has two main ideas in this position, two main strategies. First strategy is trying to simplify the position and simplify the center and go for d takes e4. Many grandmasters did that. And many players will do that. After d takes e4, now we do not need the g4 idea. Why? Here's why. After queen e7, we go knight g3 without g4. But how to understand this? Now I'll show you the difference. Bishop e6, what to do? Never exchange the light squared bishop. So bishop c2, simply, I don't want to exchange. Now after rook f8, this is why we don't need g4. Because now in this position, we have this knight h4, very interesting idea, controlling and using the f5 square. Now, but wait, I don't get it. I mean, why not g4? What's the relationship between g4 now and g4 then? Now, if the queen is here, then, I mean, if the g4, if the d5 pawn is there, then there's ideas like knight takes e4. Now, if knight takes e4, queen takes e4, there's no queen takes h4. Let's get back to the position. If, without d takes e4, say the same position, like bishop e6, bishop c2, etc., rook e8, whatever. Now we go knight g3, queen d7, knight h4. Oh, wait a second, not queen d7. Say, for example, rook c8. Now, if knight h4, then knight takes e4 is a strong move. Why? Because we don't have a queen takes e4. Queen takes h4 is coming. And I don't want to wait passively doing nothing. No, if rook e8 now, and if I played h3, play bishop c2, c3, d3, queen e2, everything, then now I need to have a good move. The good move here is just g4. Why? In order to play knight g3, knight f5, and sometimes g5. Sometimes bishop g5 even. Okay, so if d takes e4, we take back d takes e4, queen e7, we go knight g3. After knight g3, bishop e6, again we never exchange, so bishop c2. After rook f8, knight h4, queen f8, now knight hf5. Now, a very interesting idea to mention, which is what? Whenever, and this is probably going to happen too much in your games, whenever black give up his light or her light squared bishop, like bishop takes f5, knight takes f5, this is a good sign for two things. First, you launch a very strong storm on the king side. Second, you castle queen side. Why? Because the bishop has no longer a strong pressure along this diagonal. So you have a free hand to attack. And as we mentioned in the beginning, the queen will go to f3 square. That's That's very interesting. Now I feel like I understand the Italian as a 2700 even. So after queen f8, you understand, you'll know why. After queen f8, knight hf5, improving the knight. Knight e7, trying to get rid of the knight. And now, as we mentioned, that bishop g5 is usually our idea. After bishop g5, bishop takes f5 happened. We got the bishop, we got the light square bishop, right? Yeah, we got the light square bishop. And now simply a takes f5. Not knight takes f5. Why? Because we are attacking. Avoid as many exchanges as possible. After knight e d5, now we castle long. After castling long, the massive attack will be on this king. And there is a game between 2600 and 2600, two 2600 in the World Fight Cup. Bishop h4, queen c5, knight e4 simply, and bishop b3. See, now this diagonal is super strong. Knight takes f6 first, the queen comes to the attack, the queen is under fire, f6, threatening some mating ideas, queen g2, very bad, bishop g3, and after bishop g5, like queen d7, was not the best, probably queen f5 was better, but anyways, bishop takes, e takes, and then again queen f5, and the threat is queen g6, queen g7, checkmate, because there is some pin here, and actually this is what happened in the game. Check, and black just simply resigned the game. Why black lost the game? And this is probably how 2600 lost their games. There is no strategy for black. The strategy for white, the way he plays, the early attack and delay castling, is very, very confusing for black not to know where to put his pieces or her pieces. So this is very dangerous weapon. And what's interesting about it, it requires zero theory, just knowledge of the ideas. Okay, now we're done with this bishop c5. I hope you got it. I hope you like it. If you like it, please don't forget to subscribe, to share, to comment, etc. So this is actually for bishop c5 stuff. Okay, but wait a second. I have another question now. What if bishop e7? Because bishop e7 is played. Like after, for example, knight f6 d3, bishop e7 is played too many times. Like according to leeches, it's played almost 3 million times, bishop e7. So, if bishop e7, we come back to our novelty, e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop c4, knight f6 d3. And after bishop e7, I came up with this great idea, queen e2. I checked on leeches, I did not find it, so you might check yourself. You might find it somewhere. This is a great move. Why this is a great move? Because now, if I want to apply my strategy, I can't go c3. Because if I went c3 now, then there's this very strong move, d5. And now I don't have the time to play bishop b3, because again, queens will be exchanged, and this is not what I'm seeking. Actually, I'm losing a pawn. It's not only queens to be exchanged. And I never want to go e takes d5, because after e takes d5, knight takes d5, the position just opened up and many possibilities are there. Knight f4, knight b6, sometimes f5, many stuff. So knowledge is required, memorization is required, too many stuff is required. And come on, I don't want to play chess like this. Okay, but what's the idea? The idea is I will go queen e2, so there will be no d5. And will apply my strategy. Wow, this is super deep. Why this is super deep? Because now if d5, I can grab the pawn. Like take, knight takes e5, and I am a pawn up. Some stuff like knight d4 is there, but I mean, you can find some ideas like knight, some counters like knight takes. I'm not sure if queen d1 probably works if you forgot, but knight f7 is giving white an advantage. Because after knight f7, there's some forks here and some stuff here. And if, for example, king takes, queen h5, and you grab the knight back, and you're much better. And if knight takes e2, then knight takes d8. And after knight takes d8, let's say knight takes c1, we go knight f7, attacking the rook. And if king f7, bishop takes d5 first, whatever, like king back, for example. And now, many ideas. Simply, you could go knight c3. This knight cannot go back. And if the knight is taken, you're just winning. And probably ideas like king d2 to be coming. Maybe knight takes d3, c takes d3. Okay, we are not attacking now, but we do have an extra pawn. Not only that, we do have a very nice outpost for our pieces, like either knight e4 or bishop e4. So the knight is no longer weaker than one of the bishops. So you're completely fine. d5 cannot be played. It's not recommended for black. It's not practically okay. So after queen e2, black will castle, and after castling, you go c3, and you go as we mentioned. Okay, let's now get back to an idea we mentioned early on, which is, wait a second. Now if you pay too much attention, then you mentioned bishop c5, and here in this position you mentioned c3. You tricked us. Because now there's d5. No, now d5 doesn't work. Why? Because this is very interesting. E takes d5, knight takes d5, and now queen b3. If the bishop on e7, again, let's get back to bishop e7. If he goes d3, d5, e d5, knight d5, queen b3. Now very strong move for black, castling. After bishop takes d5, simply knight takes a5. And now, if you try to do whatever, the queen takes d5 and the knight will be at, for example, queen a4, queen takes d5. Black is better. Now, d3 square is weak. Black has a better development. This queen here is irrelevant. And black has a almost -1 advantage, maybe winning advantage. That's why, but what's the difference? Let's go back. Again, sorry, I'm going backward and forward, but this is very important to understand. If bishop c5, c3, d5, take, queen b3 now. Now the same idea doesn't work because I take, you go. I simply go queen d1, and after queen takes d5, guess what is the move? b4. Wow. This is something I do love about chess, like the move order. If the piece is here, then this works. If the piece is there, then that works. Or this work here doesn't work there. If we just move or change the move order. So just b4 and you will win a piece and you will win the game. So let's get back a bit for bishop b7. Again, bishop b7, we go with our nobility queen e2. Castling, and now we simply don't castle, we simply go c3. And now d6. And now a question for you. After d6, black has a threat. What is that? I mean, it's not completely a threat, but he has an idea, which is bishop b6 to exchange the bishops. No, sorry, I don't want to do that. Bishop b3. Actually, sometimes knight a5 is an idea. That's why bishop b3 anyways. Just to make sure. Here knight a5 is not an idea because a5 pawn is under fire. So after d6, bishop b3. Now, for example, bishop b6, I go back bishop c2. And now you can do nothing. d5 change nothing. Like rook e8, knight bd2. d5. Sooner or later, d5 will be coming. It's fine. h3. And now, question for you. I am just testing you. Say here, black plays h6. Why to play? What to do here in this position? Okay, you can go knight f1. Say, for example, a6. Why to play? What to do in this position? Exactly. Here, we don't go knight g3. Because again, our idea is knight h4, knight f5. But we cannot go knight h4 because of knight takes a4. For example, rook b8, knight h4, then knight takes a4. And black is better now. And the attacking strategy fails. Just fails. That's why here, back, we go first. If the pawn is here, and we are done with our waiting good moves, we go simply g4. And after g4, we go knight g3. We are hoping for knight f5. g5 is there. Actually, white is practically, I would say, winning. Why? Because I have attacking chances. I have clear plan. I have clear move, clear strategy. While black, okay, his pieces are good, but actually, they are not effective. He is planless. So after h6, or let's go back, again, bishop b3, bishop b6, bishop c2, rook e8, we go knight bd2 waiting, d5, h3 improving and waiting, wait and see strategy. Now if d takes c4, say queen d7, knight f1, rook a d8. Now, okay, knight g5 is a strong idea, but again, if you go knight g3, it's kind of possible, because if knight h4 and you take, I take with the queen and things will be protected. So if h3, h6, actually, g4 is interesting, and it's actually the move, g4. First of all, knight f1, knight g3 to be coming. Maybe knight f1. Maybe I recommend knight f1 first. Maybe, but that's fine. Whenever you see h6, g4 is a good sign to be played. Queen d7, knight f1, rook a d8, knight g3. And, for example, having some space on the queen side. Now white started to get a dangerous advantage, g5. Why g5? Because after h takes g5, knight takes g5. Maybe bishop takes g5 works as well. Knight takes g5. See, computer says it's slightly better for white, but I cannot imagine myself playing this as black. I cannot, because I feel like I lack ideas now. I don't have ideas as black. I'm just waiting. This file is very dangerous. Now I am probably going to lose the two bishops, especially my light squared bishop as black. Maybe ideas like the non-castling to be coming, this rook to be attacking, and very super dangerous strategy. Try the strategies in your game and come back to us in the comments and share us your or share with us your experience. I hope you like it, and if you like the 𝒕𝒂 and want to widen your opening repertoire, we made a series of lectures about the 𝒕𝒂 opening. You will find it there, and please don't forget to subscribe, share, and see you soon. Have a nice one.